I'd just like to start today saying that for many years, pregnancy centers have been working in Connecticut. My center today will celebrate 24 years of operation of serving the women in New London County. In those 24 years, we have done our best to meet each and every woman with dignity and respect as she comes into the door. We have purposely stayed out of the political arena. We have purposely kept our focus on helping women and men who are in need making a pregnancy decision. And I can say that that has been the attitude of most of the directors that I have worked with in the 18 years that I have been working in the pregnancy center movement. It wasn't until 2015 when the Right to Lie brochure came out that we were pulled into this fight, so to say. It was not a fight that we have wanted. It's still not a fight that we've wanted, but it is one that we are now coming to the table on. The Right to Lie, I believe, is an interesting name for a document that is full of lies. What they have accused us of is practicing medicine without a license. Well, that's incorrect. As you can see behind me with the number of white coats behind me, each and every one of our medical personnel are licensed by the state of Connecticut. And we can show you our licenses, but better yet, you can go onto the Department of Public Health and look up the licenses of the names of each and one of our staff members. My particular pregnancy center in New London, Connecticut is a licensed outpatient clinic under the state of Connecticut Department of Public Health. Again, no homework done there. Again, a lie that has been thrown onto our centers. Our centers have been accused of taking federal dollars. I know that my center has received zero money from the state and from the federal government. And I know that to be true of the pregnancy centers represented in the Connecticut Pregnancy Care Coalition. We comprise of 11 of the largest centers in Connecticut, and none of those centers receive state or federal dollars. All of those centers have to adhere to a certain standard of care. The services that we provide are clearly listed on our websites and our brochures, and Molly's going to speak to that in a few minutes. But those services that we provided, which are listed on this poster right here, in 2017, the 11 centers collectively have saved more than $1 million to the state of Connecticut by providing these services free of charge, without billing any insurance companies, without billing any towns or individuals who come into the office. My office runs on donations and fundraisers strictly. Historically, that has been what pregnancy centers have wanted to do. Historically, we have all wanted to just be quiet in the background, serving the men and women who come into our office by offering them a place that treats them with dignity and respect, that treats them regardless of the decision that they choose. We recognize that a woman has 3 options when she's faced with an unexpected pregnancy. And we also make sure that they understand before they leave the office that regardless of the choice they make, we're still there for them. So right now, I would like to introduce Molly Hurtado, who will be talking to you a little bit more about some of the allegations about our advertising.
Thank you, Lisa. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Molly Hurtado. I am the Executive Director of ABC Women's Center in Middletown and an officer of the Pregnancy Care Coalition. There is a reason women come to pregnancy resource centers. What I want you to know today is that PRCs have existed peacefully in our state for over 30 years. We have the support of community and social service partners, including WIC, SNAP, local hospitals, domestic violence shelters, community health centers, maternity homes, to name a few. Additionally, we have received bipartisan support by many of our local government officials. We have had legislators, mayors, town officials, and committee members come into our centers expressing their thankfulness and gratitude for the work that we do and the services that we provide free of charge to women and families in Connecticut. Unfortunately, over the past 3 years, radical pro-abortion groups like NARAL Pro-Choice Connecticut have attempted to influence governmental leaders to believe its lies against our centers. There has been quite a bit of misinformation and unprecedented attacks on the work of our centers. Their lies are easily disproven, and today I'm going to address some of them. One of the claims that NARAL makes is that PRCs falsely advertise about our services, and that we shame women who make abortion choices. This could not be further from the truth. They say that we refrain from acknowledging to women that our centers do not perform or refer for abortions. PRCs make it very clear. This information is placed on our websites, our materials. If a woman calls into our centers, we mention it to her over the phone, and even if she walks in, we mention it to her at the front. We make it very clear. The only women who continue to receive services from pregnancy resource centers are those that know that we offer abortion alternatives. So the question remains, if what NARAL says is true, why then do tens of thousands of women in our state freely choose to spend their time at pregnancy resource centers, and why do they freely choose our services over others? There is a reason women continue to come to our centers. Women trust pregnancy resource centers, and we have earned that trust. Another claim by NARAL and some pro-choice legislators is that PRCs intentionally choose locations for our centers in lower-income minority communities as a way to target them. This is false. PRCs are located in areas that are easily accessible to women seeking services. Our centers are located on the bus line. Many of our clients walk to our centers. Some college students will even take an Uber or a taxi. We have our clients' needs in mind. We are located in areas where we can best serve our clients. Our only agenda is to make it as easy as possible for pregnant women who are seeking care to access services quickly. In addition, in NARAL's June of 2015 report, A Right to Lie, they make a number of claims that PRCs are located in certain areas in our state in order to prey on vulnerable women who are seeking abortion. This document states under the header, Deceptive Advertising and Practices, this quote, "In Connecticut, 58% of PRCs operate in municipalities with existing legitimate family planning clinics, example, Planned Parenthood. Some pregnancy resource centers are even located directly across or down the street from an abortion provider." If that statement is true, who is really doing the preying? You see, pregnancy resource centers do not financially benefit off of a woman's choice, unlike abortion clinics. Wouldn't it make sense to have choices available to women in a close proximity? The need of resources for pregnant women is so great, our state could use more support, not less. Why would we want to discredit places who have served women for well over 30 years when our state is already at a lack for resources? Pregnancy resource centers are a valuable and free resource to our communities. My final point that I would like to make today is to address the numerous campaigns launched by NARAL Pro-Choice Connecticut against the pregnancy resource centers with the core intention to discredit our work and to shut us down. I saw this firsthand over the summer when I had to close my center temporarily due to a protest that was organized outside of my center in Middletown by NARAL. Women who live outside of our community joined the protest. They had never stepped foot into my center. They never had a personal experience with myself or my staff or any of my clients. They came with signs. They came chanting about abortion rights and abortion access. In response, 30 of my clients stood outside of my center silently with signs that read, "ABC helped me to become a better mother. ABC loves women. I am thankful for ABC." The protesters and NARAL staff were unwilling to speak to any of my clients. They were unwilling to speak to any of my licensed medical personnel whom they were accusing of being fake medical providers. NARAL has proven time and time again that they are a radical, uninformed, left-wing political organization. They speak often about being pro-woman, but it appears that the only women that they are truly for are those who are like-minded to their agenda. They prove through their actions the absence of compassion and respect for women who freely choose to participate in services that are outside of their agenda. What I want you to know today is as a result of that protest, or even after that protest, we are expanding our hours at my center because of the need that we receive from women. People trust and value pregnancy resource centers. False accusations will come and go, but it's word of mouth that will continue to bring women through our doors for the next 10, 30 years. The women of Connecticut are proud of the work of pregnancy resource centers, and we're just getting started. Thank you.
And now I'd like to introduce Patty Cartuccio, RN, Executive Director of Hopeline Pregnancy Center. And Patty is going to address some of the medical claims that the Right to Lie has issued.
Hi everyone, my name is Patty Cartuccio. I'm the Executive Director of Hopeline Pregnancy Resource Center. We have 3 centers, Bridgeport, Stamford, and Danbury. I'm also the Vice President of the CPCC. I'm a resident of Shelton for 27 years, and I have been doing pregnancy center work for over 32 years. As a young nurse in 1976, I worked in the operating room, and part of my rotation was to assist in the abortions, and what I saw rocked my world. I was forever changed. I then decided I want to work in a life-affirming environment, offering compassion, hope, and empowering women with enough knowledge that they can make their own decision about their unplanned pregnancy. And that describes the work of pregnancy centers. Pregnancy centers have been targeted by the pro-abortion industry for a long time, and I've been around a long time. This is nothing new. I mean, when I first started, it was the same thing over and over again. Pregnancy centers have not only survived these assaults, they've thrived through every negative media, newspaper, and magazine campaign. Presently, the CPCC is very concerned about the false attacks against its centers. The attack is part of a national campaign initiated several years ago by the NARAL organization in 2015. For those who don't know what NARAL is, the National Abortion Rights Action League. That's who they are. So in 2015, they had a misleading, distorted report called The Right to Lie. The NARAL report is biased, unscientific, and inaccurate, and clearly part of NARAL's long-standing, nationally orchestrated crusade to stop the good work of pregnancy resource centers. What they really are trying to do is deter women from visiting our centers, as well as promoting their pro-abortion agenda. I will briefly give you our side of the false claims that are accusing us. They claim we do not have medical staff at our centers. This is simply not true. Those centers that perform limited ultrasounds for confirmation of pregnancy are performed by certified ultrasonographers based on an order from the licensed medical doctor for a medical indication diagnosing of a pregnancy with direct communication and reading of ultrasounds by licensed doctors. We're staffed by licensed and trained medical professions who provide medically accurate information to women about their pregnancy and other related reproductive health issues. I have to tell you, every time I see that about that we're not RNs, I'm going to tell you about my World War II veteran father. If he was standing right here, he'd say, listen, I paid $66 a semester for this one to get her RN. Don't tell me. And that was a struggle for a sanitation worker to pay for this one. The only one went to college. When I see that, the hair on the back of my neck stands. We are nurses. We worked hard for that degree. And nobody is going to tell us that there's no RNs or medical staff or sonographers at our centers, okay? I just did that for my dad, who worked 3 jobs to put this one. Okay, he's not here with us, but I know in heaven he's looking down. We are staffed by licensed and trained medical professionals who provide medically accurate information to women. I told you that, but I wanted to go back to because our literatures are all approved by our physician. Our RN licenses are right there for you to see. We have them hanging right next to the desk so that our sweet clients can see who is going to serve them that day. Our medical staff, we wear lab coats and scrubs because we do pregnancy tests and we need to protect ourselves. We all have name tags. There's no misrepresentation. The minute they walk in, they know who is addressing them. We receive no federal or state funding. All our services are free and confidential. Our medical doctors do this free of charge because they believe in the passion of the workers and they believe in helping the centers. And they love their clients and patients very much. Our free services provide a tremendous benefit to families in our community. Our centers are helping to build healthy and strong families. Unlike abortion providers, we don't benefit financially from a woman's choice, and we save the state thousands of money, okay? The NAREL report uses substantial facts and hearsay, and to make pregnancy centers appear deceitful and manipulative toward vulnerable women seeking guidance and assistance. This is what they're saying. That's another claim, and the opposite is so different than what they're saying because the information provided is evidence-based and all options are presented to clients seeking assistance. The NAREL report fails to cite any actual complaints by a client, not one. That is because our exit interviews show 99% approval rate of the service they received at the center. We offer compassionate care and have such respect for our clients regardless of the choice they make. The only ones that are complaining about pregnancy centers is NAREL and Planned Parenthood. They're the only ones. NAREL also accuses pregnancy centers, and I quote, PRCs hold themselves as being comprehensive medical clinic or licensed to provide family planning services. That's false. The category we're under is Pregnancy Resource Center. I don't know where they're getting this because this is simply not true. Since 32 years, I must have said Pregnancy Center. That's where I work, and that's what we all here are. Our centers are committed to caring for clients with absolute integrity. Our centers are part of a national affiliation network of pregnancy centers, and as affiliate, we have to commit to upholding strict standards of care. Abortion statistics are going down. And today, there are more life-affirming pregnancy centers than abortion clinics. We outnumber abortion clinics 3 to 1. Is that really the problem? Is it because we're doing so well that we're 2,500 centers around the country and abortion clinics are closing at a rapid rate? They're up to 750. Is that really the problem here? Because we're doing so well? What can I tell you? What can I say? We're adding more. I will end with a client story. Sweet, sweet, sweet client. This is typical. We have all different types, but this is really at the heart of crisis pregnancy work. Young mom and her precious daughter found out they were pregnant. She didn't know where to go. She happened to be in a drugstore 9 months ago. The lady in the drugstore heard everyone beating her down, saying, you have to abort that child. And she goes, no, this is my grandchild. I can't abort this child. But you're poor and you have no place to go. You have no insurance. She says, I know, but and she's crying. And the lady at the drugstore said, can I talk to you for a second? Down the road is, I heard they're really nice people. And possibly, would you like their phone number? Because I think you need to call them. I think they'll help you with their baby. Okay, 9 months later, she's going to have her baby soon. She came to the office to pick up her changing table yesterday. Now, we didn't do an ultrasound on her. She already had the ultrasound. She just needed support. She said, I couldn't find one person to help me support the choice that I'm making to keep my baby. Not one person. I heard from everybody to say abort my grandchild. And I kept telling them, I don't want to abort. Oh, I know where to go. But I couldn't find where to go to support. So she was so sweet yesterday. She said, Patty, what are you doing? She heard me talking. I said, I have to go to a press conference. She said, can I come with you? She says, can I ride up with you? She's a sweet little thing. And I said, oh, honey, next time, I said, if anything else, I'm going to bring you with me. And she said, tell my story. But you make sure you tell them. This is what she said at the end. I won't read the whole thing, but she said, please don't close this program. I had no place to go. They're the only ones. They threw my daughter the most beautiful shower. I have everything I need for my grandchild. And no one else wanted to help me like that. And she said, also, I know there are a lot of pregnant moms that I'm going to tell them to go to Hopeline because they need your help. There aren't too many doors that are opening for people like us who want to choose life. So tell them my story. And I said, I will. Thank you very much.
So why now and why are we here? Well, we recently saw the document come from the Democrats stating that we're on their list of targets this year. We were on their list of targets last year. And we decided that now is the time for us to speak up. Now is the time to stand up and protect our centers that, as you've heard, many more years of just sitting quietly serving clients. And we would love to get back to just serving clients. And so because of that agenda of trying to pass some sort of legislation restricting our advertising or requiring us to do things that we're not comfortable with, we've decided to stand up, to join forces, form this coalition, and fight back. And so now I'd like to introduce to you Deanna Wallace, attorney from Americans United for Life.
Thank you. My name is Deanna Wallace, and I am Director of Legal Communications and Staff Counsel at Americans United for Life, the legal arm of the pro-life movement. And most importantly, I am the former daughter of a 19-year-old unwed teen mother who is only standing before you today because my mother chose life. In my practice as an attorney, I've assisted in representing pregnancy resource centers and pro-life medical professionals in litigation on legislation regarding the free speech rights of centers like these in the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, federal court in Illinois, and at the Supreme Court of the United States. I am here today representing Americans United for Life as an attorney specializing in constitutional law. As you've already heard, there are more than 2,500 pregnancy centers across America that provide vital care to mothers and their children. The Connecticut Pregnancy Care Coalition represents 11 of these centers that are staffed by volunteers dedicated to empowering women to choose life for their unborn children. These services have been estimated to save our communities across the nation more than $100 million a year. And in communities that are underserved, these services are the only option some women have. These people should be praised for their dedication to women, not targeted for political reasons. And yet here we are. This proposed legislation is yet another example of a recent effort by the abortion industry to silence those who are committed to giving women who are facing an unplanned pregnancy access to options other than abortion. This is further evidenced by the fact that NARO Pro-Choice Connecticut, a pro-abortion political group, has been the leading force calling for this legislation. Their call is supported only by an unscientific study, which was created and performed by their own agenda-driven staffers. Contrary to the smears by pro-choice and pro-abortion groups such as NARAL, AUL has submitted court briefs in multiple cases providing solid evidence that pregnancy resource centers operate under high ethical standards and treat women they encounter with kindness and compassion. The courts in general have not looked favorably upon these attempts to silence pregnancy resource centers, and AUL has every confidence that the Supreme Court will shortly step in again to protect the free speech rights of pro-life advocates in the upcoming case, NIFLA versus Becerra, which will be heard next month. Americans United for Life is not alone in finding these attacks on free speech rights of pregnancy centers alarming and unconstitutional. 22 states and 144 members of Congress, in addition to numerous organizations, have also filed friend of the court briefs defending the amazing men and women running these centers. The courts have already invalidated, or mostly invalidated, similar governmental attempts to interfere with the free speech rights of pregnancy resource centers in Montgomery County, Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland, Austin, Texas, and New York City. There are also a number of other cases pending that are waiting on the Supreme Court to make a final decision this summer. It's unsurprising that the courts have favored free speech. The right to free speech is one of the fundamental rights of our Constitution. It comes not from a supposed penumbra or emanation, but is spelled out in black and white in the First Amendment. In Woolley versus Maynard, the Supreme Court explained that the right to speak and the right to refrain from speaking are complementary components of what they called individual freedom of mind. Therefore, any legislation requiring a pregnancy resource center to begin their relationship with a woman with a forced negative governmental message that is geared towards undermining their ability to offer counsel and care to women facing unplanned pregnancies would clearly violate that freedom of mind that the court seeks to protect. Nor is it the government's right to decide what counseling or advertising is classified as false or misleading in the context of a highly controversial political and medical subject such as abortion. The court has made this clear many times. Specifically in Ashcroft versus the ACLU, they said, as a general matter, the First Amendment means that the government has no power to restrict expression because of its message, its ideas, its subject matter, or its content. As a result, the court held that the Constitution demands that content-based restrictions on speech be presumed invalid, and that the government bears the burden to show its constitutionality. Here we have an agenda that clearly says we are going after pregnancy care centers. It's clearly content-driven. They admit that it's content-driven, and therefore it's presumed invalid. Not only would passing legislation unconstitutionally targeting the free speech rights of pregnancy resource centers result in needless and expensive litigation for Connecticut, but the true cost would be borne by the women of Connecticut, who cannot afford to lose the support, care, and options that pregnancy resource centers represent. For these reasons, I would urge the legislature to reject any such legislation. The women of Connecticut and their unborn children deserve better. Thank you.
Again, I want to thank you all for coming, and I extend an invitation to each and every one of you in the room, as we have done in the past, to come and visit our centers. Our centers are open. We have nothing to hide, and we would be happy to give you a tour, to show you our exit surveys, and to show you what we do. We have extended those invitations to pretty much every legislator in Connecticut. Some have taken us up on them. Unfortunately, most of them have not. And so I would encourage the state of Connecticut to hold their legislators accountable to passing any sort of legislation that they've not done their homework on. Thank you. And time for questions. Go ahead.
Whoever wants to take this, then I can presume from what you all said, especially the attorneys, that you are prepared to go to court to challenge any legislation that might make it through and get the governor's signature restricting in any way your advertising or promotion.
Yes, we are prepared to do that, but I will let Deanna answer that.
I thought you might.
Absolutely. There are cases around the country already I am unaware of any such ordinance, whether it was local or state, that has not been challenged. And I would specifically point to the one in Baltimore that was recently decided by the Fourth Circuit unanimously, that legislation targeting pregnancy care centers was unconstitutional. And it cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for Baltimore. So it's not only unnecessary, but it's extremely costly whenever these amazing people are just trying to actually save the state money. So why would we waste money trying to stop them from helping people? Absolutely. Americans United for Life would be more than happy to come back.
When you're talking, when you're bullet points regarding payroll, Connecticut, you say some, not all PRCs do address medical issues concerning abortion, length, effects. How many of the 11 in Connecticut do that?
How many of the 11 provide medical services?
Some, but not all. So that might imply that some of you.
Well, some of them provide limited, yes. 8 of the 11. Yes.
Can you tell me which ones don't?
Yes, let me look at the list again. It's not off the top of my head. St. Gianna's does not do ultrasounds. Two Hearts does not do ultrasounds. And Hope Pregnancy Center.
Hope Pregnancy.
Yeah. And Crisis Pregnancy Center in Farmington.
There's 4 of them.
Yes.
What's the expectation? I mean, this bill did not get traction last year. We still have the same sort of political divisions up here in the legislature. That's not to say it's not successful, that people won't be back. But I mean, what's your expectation of where this is going to go this year?
I don't have an expectation. I have a hope that it just goes away. That's my hope. Yeah. We're not lobbyists. We're pregnancy center workers.
Fundraising these days.
Challenging. Yeah. Yes. But that being said, we've not sought any state or federal dollars, and I can speak for my center. We have no intention to. The state's broke.
But I mean, the flip side is that money would come with strength, would it not? Maybe you may not want to deal with
It's exactly.
the requirements that
Yeah.
come. So, I mean,
Yeah.
if it was string-free, maybe.
Nah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm all set. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming.